Who do I think assassinated President John F. Kennedy? Uh, a lot of people, one of the common theories that is out there, the Soviets, some people think the Soviets did it. Maybe they sent back a Oswald double or something. The Soviets did not have anything to gain by killing the president. In fact, I think they would have had a lot more to lose, as Kennedy seemed to be more interested in getting more of a dialogue going with the Soviets. In killing the president, they would have risked a possible nuclear war, which nobody would have won. They would have had much more to gain by having the president staying alive and staying in office, so they could try to work things out in a non-military or non-nuclear manner. Cuba, Castro. Some people think Castro might have done it. Again, much of the same problem here as was saying that the Soviets did it. Castro would not have wanted to assassinate Kennedy because of a possible military retaliation against Cuba. He would have lost power. Castro's main objective was to stay in power, so he would not have wanted to assassinate the president. Another theory that has a lot of prominence is that Lyndon Johnson, the vice president, was involved in the assassination. This theory is the one that I gravitate towards. For those of you who do not know much about Lyndon Johnson, I suggest you check out the series. There's a series at archive.org, or you can probably find it on YouTube in its entirety. Evidence of Revision. I think it's the second part in this series. It's either the second or third part. It talks a great deal about the corruption of Lyndon Johnson. In his long political career, he was known to be involved in all kinds of corrupt activities, stolen elections, and it has been alleged that by his own associate, a guy by the name of Billy Saul Estes, that he had arranged for the murders of 8 individuals. I can't remember all their names, but the last person on the list that he gave to the grand jury was President Kennedy. Johnson did not like the Kennedys, and the Kennedys didn't like Johnson. The only reason why Johnson wound up being on the ticket is because J. Edgar Hoover had blackmail photographs on President Kennedy, his affairs with various women. He was caught doing certain things or whatever. Apparently, Johnson and Hoover might have had a little friendship going, or they did not, I'll put it this way, they did not have the same feelings towards each other that they did towards the Kennedys. Neither one of them liked the Kennedys. So Johnson was able to get on the ticket because of that. In other words, if Kennedy did not put Johnson on the ticket, the photographs would be leaked to the press or whoever. It has also been alleged by Johnson's mistress, a Miss Madeline Brown, that he had made a threat towards the Kennedys the night before the assassination. He had supposedly told her that after tomorrow, those blankety blank Kennedys won't embarrass me again. Which, if that's true, it would certainly seem to point a finger at him as being responsible, or at least complicit in the assassination. Bobby Kennedy is also felt that the president, or that Johnson had JFK assassinated. He asked him, "Why did you have my brother killed?" President Johnson, I believe that if anybody had the motive, the money, and the opportunity to get JFK out of the way, it was probably Lyndon Johnson. He was a well-connected businessman in Texas. There was the money there. He was in with the oil people. There's some names. Some names that I'll throw out. H.L. Hunt, of Hunt Oil. Then a man by the name of Clint Murchison. These are all people who are very closely associated with Johnson, and some of whom were involved in very shady deals or activities. I believe that possibly Johnson and Hoover were certain that they were in charge of the cover-up, whereas possibly they might have hired a mob hitman, or certainly somebody with CIA connections, to assassinate the president. Not a very large group of people involved in the conspiracy, but enough to basically carry out the job and make sure that it was covered up. Because obviously, the bigger a group of people you have, the harder it is to keep a secret. So it would have to have been a rather small group of people, I believe. And of course, you have the theory that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone assassin. A problem that I have with that, or some problems that I have with that, the rifle that they said that he used, an Italian-made Mannlicher Carcano rifle. First of all, the rifle was over 20 years old. It was obsolete. It was a bolt-action rifle. They said he fired 3 shots in a little less than 6 seconds. But 3 shots. Okay, it took 2.3 seconds minimum to fire and reload the thing. That's well over 6 seconds. So, by the Warren Commission's reckoning, he cannot have been the sole assassin. Somebody else would have had to have fired some shots. And if you look closely at this Zapruder film, you can clearly see that the president was hit twice in the head, which would also rule out Lee Harvey Oswald as the lone assassin. while Kennedy was shot in the back of the head, he was also shot in the right temple. This second shot, the one that hit him in the temple, overrode the first shot, which had started to push his body forward quickly. But as the second shot was right on top of the first one, it overrode that and drove the president violently back and to the left. You can clearly see in this Zapruder film that there was an exit wound in the front of his head. So, and then also about, I guess, 2 or 3 frames later, you can see where the other portion of his head is also gone. So, then also the time in which Oswald would have had to have raced down his 5-6 flights of stairs, whatever the number of stories was, I find it to be highly improbable. With all the obstacles he would have had to have navigated through, passing by 2 or 3 people who didn't see him, it just doesn't seem possible. So, Lee Harvey Oswald was not the lone assassin, in my opinion. I believe that if anyone had the means and the motive and the opportunity to get rid of the president, I'm inclined to believe that Lyndon Johnson was more than likely involved in it.